Hello, Fatima. We
Hi,
are back, and I'm so happy about that.
thank you. I'm excited too. I mean, we are working on Musa's conversations with Allah, God, source, whatever
Mhm.
you name it,
Yeah,
and
I'm,
we
I'm like
can.
really looking forward to going deeper into that. And,
Okay.
for me, from my background, we're talking about, I'm hearing metaphor
Mm-hmm.
in all the images that are present there. And I mean, my first intuition is to go to, well, what does that actually mean? What does that actually mean? Not the concrete, well, it was this or that. It was like, but what's being said? What's the
Mm-hmm.
message? So I'm really looking forward to diving in.
Yeah. So I'm gonna share with you the document, and I wanted to quickly overview what we said last time. And I think, like, yeah, we were working on this part, which is Musa's conversation with Allah. So if you recall, I told you he was told what's by the word yamin here. Lots of people they translate it as a right hand, but the word Yemen, the word, if you dig into it, it's like fortune, blessing, whatever you have. Yeah, Musa. So what is Musa gonna explain as a blessing that he has? He is saying, it's my asai. And I have it in red here because a lots of people, they translate it as a stick or the staff of Moses. And then they say, I lean on this staff. And they say the word here, this sentence usually is translated online, like, and I use it for my sheeps, for my animals. So all these words, if you dig deep on them, and I'm going to share with the audience where they find the meaning, it's not really what's common on the internet translation. And I'm not saying those who came before us made a mistake. I'm just saying maybe that's what they felt it means. Maybe they took it literally, but I don't see it that way. So I just wanted to share the dictionary where so there is this website. The name of it is Al Maani. If you just put the word that you are working on in the Quran, it will bring to you, and you click, of course, search, it will bring to you every verse that has that word in the entire Quran and in what form it came, whether as a noun or a verb or any form. And then when you click on the word by itself, it's in blue, you click on it, and what comes is the root word. So here, I don't know why they are calling it with your staff, even though, okay, because usually they translate them based on the internet translations of what the word came in that Quranic translation. But even though they tell you here what the meaning of this word is to disobey. So here they are referring to the true meaning of the word. Here they are bringing to us what they find in the other translations. And most of the translations were not translating the Quran word for word by going to older dictionaries. So the dictionary that I use myself, and I like people to go back to it, and they can't even say anything because it's a dictionary. I'm not like coming with those meanings from my head. I will share the dictionary here. The name of it is Maqayis, okay? It says Maqayis. It's Ibn Faris Maqayis, okay? So if they wanted the word also, they just have to click on the letter and they look for that word, which is, I have it here. And it just says here exactly what it means. And they can look at what I usually do is I go and I highlight everything and I just asked for it to go to English. I don't need the English myself because I know the Arabic. But this is just to guide the listener before you judge and before you say anything because it's controversial. Just be open, move to silence, see what your intuition tells you. Go do your research a little bit. Because I grew up with that concept. It was Musa's staff.
Mhm.
And I went to Islamic University. I have master's degree in Islamic. And my specialty in my master's degree was really the meaning of the words of the Quran. And I graduated believing, yes, it was Musa's staff. Because, you are still learning. But as you start to dig deeper and you get older and you dig deeper, you get wiser, things change. It's not really what you found in the books, because those books, they started to put the interpretation of the Quran talking 400 after his death of the Prophet. Who knows? When you are far away from the first person who channeled the information and the people that were around him, and you don't know what happened in 400 years. Okay? So
Right.
that's why I prefer to go back to the tool that the Quran itself said use. So there are about 7 verses in the Quran that says the tool that the Quran uses basically is the language. And the language, just go back to find the meaning of each word. As I look and do my research in dictionaries, I meditate for every verse and I feel what comes to me and I share it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And what I'm seeing is there develops around something,
Mm-hmm.
anything, the Quran, the Bible, whatever, a framework that
Mm-hmm.
becomes the accepted framework, and then we as human beings tend not to stray from that framework. And we forget to look for that internal meaning. So by going back to the language, you're kind of opening up that framework and allowing the possibility for looking at what's the actual language and what was the intent and what was you know,
Mm-hmm.
is it just always this? Maybe that word is something different. And
Yeah.
so I think that's very freeing, first of all, if people are willing to step away from that box
Mm-hmm.
and go, oh, okay, maybe there's something deeper, something more. If you say, well, it's Musa's staff and it has this and this property, it does this, you're kind of stuck,
Mm-hmm.
and you're on I mean, from my perspective, then you're on a road that has edges. But if you look at the language and you're willing to think, but maybe there's something more, something deeper, something
Yeah.
uh, bigger that's
That's
being
what
said
really
here.
that's really what got me to that research of is there something bigger? To me is why the Quran in almost every chapter you'll find Musa's story. If this man had a staff and he did what he did, which is something I can never do, so why is the Quran bothering me with that story? Is a fairy tale that I read to a child before they go to bed? Or is it deeper? That's where I stopped at the word asa. I said, I don't think it's a staff, especially the dictionary is saying it's disobedience. And you saw when I showed you, they translate it as disobedience in the real meaning. They say it means to disobey in the website, Maani. But let me go and we'll start to dig together deeper. And I hope the listeners take time to listen. So when he says, it is my disobedience. So when I looked all over the Quran, he disobeyed Pharaoh, the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh is saying, I am God, I'm your God. But Musa could not take that. So I'm talking here about the end of the story, but we're going to see, as I said last time, when we go back to since his birth, what happened. He's saying, I'm leaning on it. And he said, relax. The word ahosh means relax. And ghanami that they say is sheep. It really, if you look for it, there is a whole surah chapter about it. It's the benefits. So how is that going to benefit you? And nothing can benefit you if you don't sit down and relax and think about it. Relax, like meditate about it. Why did I do that? Why is this part of my journey? And then he is saying, talking to Allah source, MLA, LLCS, whatever, Ma'arib I have other needs. So he can hear a lot. The response is deliver it. Okay? So let me hear it. So when he delivered it, or when we say, you tell me, Fatima, every time we meet, you may tell me, I feel you're not you today. What's wrong with you or something? What? Just vent, just say it. So I say it. But I loved when it says it's still living, it's still striving, it's still there in him. So he is venting. So he was told, خُذْهَا وَلَا تَخَفْ, like, take it and don't fear. We will cause it to return to its first journey. And this first journey, I just wanted to leave it a question mark for everyone, for every listener. So what is this living being, okay, that when you deliver and you let go of it, is going to go back to its first journey? These are the questions that I could not take the concept when they say this Hayya is a serpent. Because in other verses, they don't say Hayya, they say Tarban. And then one time they say Jan. And to me, like, why it's changing the meaning? It must be something different. And that's what we're going to look for and keep looking. Then it says, and join your power to your inclination, which we did last time. What are you inclined for? And it comes out fair, without badness. And that's another sign. And we wanted to cause you to see our greatest signs. So this basically for me is an introduction to Musa, okay, to start to dive deep in his conversation with Allah. And that's what we said last time. We're going to dive deep. So now let's see. He's going to dive deep and he has a task. It says, go to the Pharaoh. Indeed, he has transgressed. So Musa said, my Rabb, expand my chest for me. That verse 25, it always comes to my mind. When there is fear, you know, we feel like our chest is tight because the fear is kind of like, what's going on? But he's asking, can you expand my chest for me? And that's also a sign for the breath work. Breathe in to expand, breathe out to let go. So that's what Musa is saying. And ease my situation for me. So this situation of me facing this Pharaoh that transgressed, it's not an easy task. And unleash a knot for my tongue. Like, you know, sometimes when you are nervous, you're not even able to express yourself. So they can understand my speech. That's the reason why I'm asking. And we see like Musa here started to, all that Allah asked him to do is to go to Pharaoh. And he started, that's that living being in him. He started like, 1, 2, 3, I want this, I want that. And then appoint an assistant for me. I can't do it by myself. I'm going to need an assistant. For my qualified ones, like, you know, my inner circle that I trust and they're qualified to be with me and that I trust them. So who's that person? He said, Harun, my brother. Strengthen my force by him. So he says, I do have power, but I want to strengthen. That's why at the Global Healing, when we meet, we say we're here to amplify the energies. Right. We wanted to strengthen those powers and cause him to associate in my situation. Like, I want you to cause him to be my associate. But what's the purpose? That we may move in your cause much. I put here move because a lot of people, when I translate this word as vibration, they say, why you say vibration? Because I use it as a physicist, I feel everything is vibrating, is vibration. But I'm putting move because move is also kind of vibration. That we may move in your cause much and remember you much. It's all about remembering, okay? Indeed, you were of us seeing. So he knows that, he has that knowing that source was always, you know, seeing. And now he's getting the answer. So I always, when it comes to Allah, I don't like say he said, so that to push away the mouth and all of that. I put, it communicated, you are approached by your request, O Musa. And truly, certainly, we graced you another time. When we inspired your mother, what it is inspired. So now I'm going to stop here because this is another video, another meeting. So anyway, what is this? Why I highlighted in red? It is known in the entire Quran, ask and it is given. So when he was asking and he has all this list, the answer came so quick. We are approaching you by your request. And not only by your request, it's saying, when we inspired your mother, we will see it next time what the inspiration was. But it's basically, before you were even born, I was answering the request of your existence. It just comes to my mind how Mary, okay, her request came because of her mother also request, like she was already asking for it. So that's all what comes from the verses. So I wonder what comes to your mind.
Yeah, again, we're thinking the same thing because I immediately started thinking about Mary and that, and just saying you just have to ask, just have to get rid of all the static and the extra stuff and ask for what you want. And that's why I really liked what you just went through because Musa's requests were so clear.
Like
He
one,
knew,
two, three.
yeah, he knew exactly what he needed, and he was willing to just ask for it. So he is, and I can't remember the words now, but it talked about, like a living, growing being, a
Yeah.
developing. And to me, that's part of his growth is standing there going, okay, well, then here's what I need, you know,
Uh-huh.
which is, I think, part of everybody's maturing and growing up is to learn how to state your needs and put the trust, if you will, in that statement of needs, that pure statement of needs from your very being,
Mm-hmm.
then it can be fulfilled,
Yeah, exactly.
because it's that connection to source or whatever you want to call it. So that was yeah, that was great. So we were kind of on this. I was like, yeah, I'm going right back to Mary. Ask for it. That's how
Here
come
I
I
am.
have all this stuff. I asked.
And I am also getting Mary. I could
Yeah.
hear like, and Mary. So
And the strategy is so cool because he's saying, yeah, I need my brother too, because it's
I
going to
can
be
do it
tough.
by
It's
myself.
going to be tough by myself. So I'm going to need a partner.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
he's saying, expand my chest. And
that was great.
you're gonna see in the next part of it, why is he saying expand my chest and where is that coming? It's
Yeah.
beautifully said, and that's why I feel the way my research has been and the way I'm receiving in my meditation, the deep lessons from the story, that we are all basically going to go through that journey of Musa.
Yeah. So I'm thinking how many times that you have some difficulty, something that you have to overcome, something that you have to do that might be uncomfortable for you. The first thing I do, deep breath in, right? Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next part of it, we'll see it next time.